larger set here.
Can you take that up?
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Yep. We ready?
Sure. Because we talked about it once before, so if you want, I can put it on the phone.
What's there now? Is there a good thing now?
It says replace it. It doesn't pay. We don't have to, but you and I talked about it once before, so just in case.
Good.
So do you want to do that, or, because I can put it on the phone? I could just put one of each meeting. Do you want to? I don't know what you're doing.
That's all right, we're going to start tonight with a public hearing. Let's go ahead and have a pledge of allegiance and we'll start our public hearing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, our regular meeting will begin. The regular meeting will begin right after the public hearing. And do we have a sign-up sheet? We got a pad of paper there. So if,
I left it upstairs, but I'll put something else out.
just put this paper out there. So the public hearing is on the Foxfire Mountain House proposal. So let's have Representative from Foxfire come up and just give a small spiel as to what it is. To us.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll read the legal notice and then we'll have you.
I have little papers for you.
Okay.
So the legal notice was published in the Daily Freeman and reads as follows. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Shandaken Planning Board will hold a public hearing pursuant to Section 274 and/or Section 276 of the state law and as prescribed in Section 116.42B and/or 116.50C of the Shandaken Town Code for the purpose of hearing the following applications. Tim Trojan, owner of a parcel located at 72 Andrew Lane, Mount Tremper, New York, 12457, indicated as section number 25.10, block number 1, lot number 1, and zoned in R 1.5, is seeking approval of a special permit with site plan review to renovate an existing structure and operate a 10-room hotel, restaurant, and bar to be known as Foxfire Mountain House. Public hearing is scheduled for Wednesday, July 8, 2015, in the Town Hall Building, 720-928 Shandaken, New York, at 7 p.m. Anyone interested in this case is invited to attend this hearing. Communications in writing in relation thereto may be mailed to the board or presented at the hearing by order of the Town of Shandaken Planning Board.
Do we have a map to put on display? Just put it on the table
I
there.
can put my file map on, but you all have maps.
Yeah, if everybody can make sure their microphone's on because we're having trouble with the sound system on the cable. Okay, Tim, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm here as the owner, along with my wife, who couldn't be here, of Foxfire Mountain House, located at 72 Andrew Lane. We purchased the property back in April of 2013 when we moved to the town of Mount Tremper. Our goal is to restore the inn, which was originally built around 1900 and known as Mountain Breeze House, into a 10-room inn with a small restaurant attached to the inn. Our purpose is to have a quiet getaway for guests retreating to the Catskills like they have for over a century, and to house small little events. We have our first event we hope to be able to do sometime in August. It's a wedding for 35 people. We've taken the time to do the best we can to restore the inn, not to historical values, but to make sure that it stays as a piece of the town heritage for the next 100 years.
Okay, we have a seat. Anyone here to speak at the public hearing? Could you come up, sign in, state your name?
Well, I want to thank the board for giving me a few minutes to say a few things. Initially, I'll tell you that I'm opposed to the plan. I've lived on Andrew Lane for over 30 years, raised 2 children there. It's been my primary residence for over 31 years. I've been a resident of Shandaken for about 36 years. Andrew Lane's always been a quiet, dead-end road. It's very narrow. There's one spot where you cannot get 2 cars side by side. There's a curve there that I personally witnessed an accident because of ice. I've heard of 2 other accidents because of ice there. It's not the department's fault, the maintenance, the town highway department's fault. It's just that's the way it is. It's a downhill curve. I drive it every day for over 30 years, either going into Kingston or going to the store, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. And anyone who is not familiar with that road is coming around that curve or coming off of Mount Pleasant Road and taking up the whole road. That's a very dangerous road. With a hotel up there, with a bar, and with a restaurant, it's going to be even more crowded. It's going to be more dangerous. I suggest to all of you go there and take a look at what I'm talking about. Take some measurements and talk to the highway department. Trucks have to back up when there's a car coming. Buses take up the whole road. It's my major concern here. It's just going to get worse. My second concern is the fact that my understanding, as you might realize, oh, I'm sorry, my name, by the way, is Michael Miranda. I'm a lawyer. I've never done any real zoning law, so I took a look at it to get an idea what this was all about. But from what I can understand, there's been no basic change in the community to warrant such a change like this. This would be the only one. It, to me, seems to be an illegal spot zoning, if you allow it, if you condone it. I quote from a Court of Appeals case, basically, this change is other than a part of a well-considered and comprehensive plan which was calculated to serve the general welfare of the community. And I think that's what you're here to protect. I honestly don't see any reason for a change there. Can I ask one question? I know there's 10 acres up there, but is he looking to do only 1.5 acres or all 10 acres, rezone the whole thing?
The property is currently zoned to permit the use proposed, so there's no rezoning proposed, and there's no new construction proposed. It's just a reuse of the existing building.
There is new construction going on.
Inside, yes.
Yeah, inside. The hardship that's been created for this gentleman is personal and self-created. He should have looked at this before he purchased the place. If you go online and look at the website, they put a tremendous amount of work in there. I would say this, I don't know if the building inspector's been allowed in there, but this is going to be a commercial building. And with commercial buildings in New York State, you have to follow different codes, such as all copper piping, difference in electrical work, difference in any changes made. There's a difference between commercial and private, residential. I don't know if that's been complied with. If you look online, everything's been covered up with sheetrock. How is a building inspector or any inspector going to see what type of copper piping there is? If it's plastic pipe, if it's all buried within the sheetrock, if there's proper insulation, whatever is needed. One of the reasons I'm here is I ran into a problem with the Emerson across the road on State Route 28. I had to call the police again on Monday night. When they were here, Crossroads was here 10 years ago. Oh, it's gonna be a quiet little place, and they started off that way, but now they have, my windows shake when they have bands over there. There's nothing to stop another party going on up there, another wedding with loud music. There's nothing to stop that if this permit is granted. Another thing I noticed is that the cottage is currently being rented. I don't know if there needed to be a permit for that. It's a three-bedroom cottage that holds 4 people, and that's already been, there's been 30 reviews on their website, which means that they at least 30 people stay there. I think there's a permit needed for that. If it's an inn, that you just can't go ahead and do it. I do want to thank you for your time. Maybe I'm a little wrong, is what this lady just said. But I thought that it's zoned residential. I thought ours stood for residential, and 1.5 stood for acreage. But if you're going to turn around and say that anything can go up there, it can be expanded, what's to stop this place from putting in another 10 rooms? Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Please sign in and then tell us your name.
I'll be quick. It's fine, I wrote down. What's your last name?
Home, H-O-M.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Molly, and I've lived on Andrew Lane Road since I was 10, so I'm 44, so that's 34 years. And I just briefly want to express my concerns as well about a business at the end of the road. I just found out recently there was also maybe going to be a bar there. Mike Miranda's right that that road is very dangerous, especially coming around the curve before you hit Hasbrook Manor. And I've already seen people speeding up that road. It's the kind of road that people just speed on. It's small and narrow, and it's a straightaway once you get to the top of it. And there's children that live on that road and animals, and I just don't know how they're going to be able to control people speeding. And also, I noticed the speed limit on that road is 30 miles an hour, which I think is way too fast for a one-lane road. So I'm just concerned about the neighborhood. And I know businesses have the right to set up, but I think we matter as well, and I just hope that you consider the whole neighborhood, because we've all been there a long time. That's all.
Thank you, Molly. Anyone else?
I just have a question. Is it going to be open to the public, the bar and restaurant, or is it just for the people that are staying here?
It is primarily for the people who are staying there. I am applying to be open to the public so I can have a little more business when we're not open. And if I can, when we say bar, it isn't a bar as in a drinking establishment. It is a small 30-seat, mostly a cafe that will serve some lunch and some dinner. We're not looking to have, by any stretch of the imagination, an ongoing bar.
Just sign in?
Sure.
Now that I asked a question. Just- I don't know too much about that road. I've only been up it a few times. We live on.
What is your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy Wildermuth. We live on Mount Pleasant Road. And we're right across from the Emerson. Our kitchen window is right where the Mountain Lion pole is. And yeah, we heard a little bit of music on Monday from a wedding, but I mean, we're right across the street, and I don't find it disturbing. So,
Come to my house, I'll call you.
well,
I'll come to my house because I'm hired for
well, anyway, and I feel this area really needs some things coming into it that we can bring people to, because it's a really hard-hit area, and I think we really need something like this. So that's how I feel.
Anyone else?
Are you going to have, I'm familiar with Andrew Lane, are you gonna have buses coming up there?
No, sir. No, there will not ever be any buses coming up. At the most, there will be just a minivan that will bring some people up if they're staying at another one of the area hotels so that they don't have to drive. But as far as buses, et cetera, those will never be coming up.
Never.
No, sir. No, I would like to, yeah. No, I appreciate that, but I don't want buses there. You know, and I will not allow my people to bring full buses, because you're right, they don't belong on that road.
And if you sell the place,
I can't never do anything about that.
And I have another question. If, let me just ask the three people that are interested in what they said here. Is 30 miles an hour on that road too fast?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So everybody's in consensus
Yes.
of that, so we should speak to the town and see
Yes.
if they can lower that 30 miles.
Yes, they should drop it to 20.
And one other thing. Can you just give me an idea about, I know this can't be answered exactly, but what hours of events, what hours do you think the events are going to take place? If it's a wedding, do you think it will go till what time?
Well, all the outside activities would have to stop by 10, because that's the town regulation, so there will be no more events going on outside, music-wise or anything like that, after 10 o'clock. So that would have to stop. If I'm wrong with what time that is, and it's earlier, that would be it. So we would abide by the code, and if it goes later than that, I would try to have everybody stop by 10 o'clock, because I think that's the proper time for an outside event to be over with in that area.
Okay. My question is to our zoning enforcement officer.
I knew when you saw me, you were going to ask me a question. I just knew it.
That's why we so late.
Okay.
Are these plans in compliance with our code?
For current codes,
Yes.
yes. I've been in contact with the engineer, and any concerns that have been raised, he has answered. So as the project proceeds forward, everything will be brought into compliance with the current 2010 Unified New York State Building Codes. Also, fire codes of New York State and the property maintenance codes.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to ask a very stupid question. What is the purpose of the permit, or application for the permit? What does this gentleman get if it's granted?
He gets to,
Well, he has to give us a site plan and show us exactly what he's proposing to do as far as the lighting and the parking and we just have to make sure that everything he does is within the zoning setbacks, and if he's everything in compliance. And then we have a public hearing such as this to make sure that we're not missing something that the town needs. We have to be concerned about the public safety, so that's something issue that we'll have to look into. We'll have to speak to the highway superintendent and just address some of the concerns that a couple of you have had. So that's the purpose for a special permit. So you just can't go ahead and do something. You gotta come before the planning board with a plan that we can review, such as we have, and the building inspector can review and talk over with us.
You can go ahead and build without your approval.
no,
Well, that's what he's going to do. I mean, that's right.
no, he's doing inside.
Mhm.
He has not added to the,
And anything that has been done is open for warrant to see when the permits come, and anything outside has been done to the DEP to upgrade the septic system, so
Mhm.
that's.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything illegal against our regulations that is done, you know, we have our building and zoning enforcer there to check and make sure of these things. Our responsibility is to look over these plans and make sure that he's in compliance with our zoning and everything. To be enforced, that's our building department, so.
And also because it's not been grandfathered in, it's got to go through you. It's all vacant land.
Right.
And get your permission to put a hotel there.
Yeah, one,
Right,
Well,
is that what-
it's not as if it's entirely
It's
vacant,
a
because there is an
change of use.
existing structure. So, I mean, he can do some things within, it's to use it again as a hotel, he needs our permission, not to use it as a structure.
now, I believe the history of it, it was a hotel years ago, and then it moved into like a boarding house type of a situation.
No, it hasn't been used since that.
But it hasn't been used in a certain amount of time, and that's why they had to come before us with a site plan. If they were just reopening it, and if it was used recently as a hotel, then they probably wouldn't have to go through so much of this. But because of the time lapse, they have to have a special permit and the whole works.
Mr. Miranda?
Yes.
To answer your question about the noise that you had said you heard from the other person, just let me bring something to your attention here. It's section 116.23 in our ordinance. It says, "No person shall operate or cause to be operated any source of sound such as a manner to create a sound level which exceeds the limits set forth for reviewing land category stated below, with measured within the property boundaries of the limit." Okay? And it says, for that particular zone, it says from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 57 decibels.
We don't have an instrument to measure it.
No.
We've been complaining about this,
Yeah, the
at least
town
for,
doesn't have a decimal.
20 years.
Maybe we can get it, because it's time that we have issues coming up.
Yeah, and I just want to make something.
We used to
clear
have,
my-
Where's the happen?
Yeah, my neighbor, I'm above, my house is above her house, so I might be getting more than she does, I know I do.
well, I don't question that, but what I'm saying is, if it's an issue, and we do get this instrument, by all means, you have to say something. And it also says, "For any source of sound which omits a pure tone or discrete tone or impulsive sound, the maximum sound limit set forth shall above be reduced by 5 dBs."
Makes sense.
So, you know,
7 a.m., 7 p.m., and then 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., it drops down about
To
4
53.
decibels. Yeah.
to 53. So if there is an issue, you should certainly,
Yeah, I tried.
and maybe we should pass it on to the town board that we should have
I would
something like this.
appreciate
That would, I mean, we
You
have to
one
enforce the law, and if we need a tool to do it, then we should get it.
A long time ago, when they put the soccer fields, and they had, then they put the soccer field next to it.
Joanna, do you have any questions or concerns?
I guess I just have one last concern. When I heard about possible weddings happening, I still can't comprehend how much traffic Andrew Lane Road can handle being a one-lane road. So I think what he said is going there and seeing the road for yourself would be good, because our house is right on the road. So any single car that comes by is very noticeable. So if they're gonna have venues there, I do not see how that road can handle the traffic. So even slowing down the speed limit, which people won't obey most likely anyway, is not gonna make a difference if the traffic is 100-fold than what Andrew Lane Road is known for decades. So I just am, again, really concerned about what's gonna happen when cars start going up and down that road. And I don't think there's any way to control that. I just don't see how it can be controlled unless another entryway is made.
How many parking spaces do you have?
I'm just trying to remember. I believe it's 19. I'll have to check on that again. I do apologize. But
Well, do you want to explain your plan of how many people will be driven out to the venue? Or as you explained it to us?
yes, I'm sorry, I was 31. Yes, I mean, basically, I don't want a lot of traffic on that road either, nor do I want guests to be leaving there after having been drinking if they're coming for an event. So, we want to make sure that there is off-site parking if there needs to be, so that limited traffic will come up. We will have a small shuttle van that we will have to bring people to their cars or to their local hotels if they're not staying with us. And we're going to limit the size of the events to something that can be handled by that road. I had to put in a total of 31 by law. The maximum size of event that we're looking to have is maybe 75 people. Mostly they're going to be 40 people or so. So that's, it's a small inn, it's quaint, it is to be respectful to the neighborhood. And that's what I'm trying very much to do, because, I do understand the road. And I think we can work within that very well and be safe and respectful to everyone who's there.
The plans are up here, the map, if anybody wants to come up here, they can. It's a public hearing, you can come and take a look at it.
That's right, let's talk
Before
about
we
it.
close the public hearing, you should have
It's
the
on for
opportunity to take a look at
Well,
it.
it's easier probably to read this.
You're gonna have off-site parking, and you're gonna pull up your shuttle. So,
Yes.
as you explained to us before, you were gonna have off-site parking.
Right.
Shuttle people.
yeah,
So
we-
there
we-
wouldn't be a lot of traffic.
There won't be, it'll be whatever is, would come up just for the rooms, which are 10 rooms. And then after that, we want to try to shuttle as many people as we can up there. And the most we can do is 31 people if we have the largest event, which will be infrequently. There's absolutely no point that we want to be a wedding factory. We want to be a small inn.
And how many people will the shuttle carry? I'm trying to think of how
Yeah,
many
well,
trips.
the shuttle will, we'll have 3 rows, 3 on each row, so 9 people. So it might do some shuttling. It'll actually be less traffic than what was there with the Emerson and its vans back and forth all the time, now that they're no longer there.
Thank you.
Well, when you bought it, was it still being used as a boarding house, more or less?
No, it had stopped being used as a boarding house.
For the Emerson?
Yeah, for only about 4 years. I think 2009, there's actually a little graffiti on one of the walls that says Mario 2009. So I know that in 2009 it was being used, and we bought it in 2013.
It was my own understanding, I'm pretty sure about that, it was being used for employees.
Yeah.
It wasn't a boarding house.
No.
I think there were a lot of foreign exchange students that were working there. I don't think they were paying.
No, it was for that.
It was like a dormitory.
Yes.
What's the other questions?
John had a motion to close the public hearing, and we stepped over that.
Okay, so the public, John's motion is still there, so anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have to do a roll call vote on that. Sean Brewer,
Yes.
Mark Christie,
Yes.
John Horn,
Yeah.
Joanne Cal,
Yes.
Alan Shiner,
Yes.
Clifford Buffa.
Yes.
Let's vote to close the public hearing. Okay, well, thank you for coming and letting us know your views and opinions on this. Appreciate it. And we'll look into it and address everything that we heard.
Will we be addressing it tonight?
Well, I think we're gonna need to, we will discuss it at the meeting here, the next meeting. All right, so I'd like to open up our regular meeting. And we'll have the roll call for attendance.
Sean Brewer,
Present?
Kathy Jordan, Mark Christie, John Horn,
Here.
Joanne Cal, here, Alan Shiner, Clifford Buffa.
Here.
Okay, so the old business, the only thing we do have is Foxfire Mountain House, so is there any further discussion?